I'm delighted to welcome today Michelle Lewis from Northampton, and it's Step Forward with Michelle. Oh, I've said it wrong, haven't I? Step Forward with Lewis is how you trade.
It is, yes. Thank you for having me on, Elaine.
Most welcome. So, Michelle, Step Forward with Lewis, got it right that time. The Step Forward is the walking, running, movement type thing that you do. Is that where the connotation suggests?
Yeah, it's just to go back in history. I'm a runner. I'm a late runner. I started when I was about 38 and got hooked. And I joined club. I was running for about a year or so on my own, and then I joined a club. And then I was with clubs in Northampton for about 2-3 years, and found that it was getting to a point with the clubs where it was more about the speed and getting political, and it wasn't relaxing. And then as a run director of Northampton Park Run at the racecourse, and finding how relaxing that atmosphere is, and how the people that are not fast, how they feel and why they don't go to these running clubs, made me come up with the idea of Step Forward with Lewis, and also a particular runner called Catherine at the Racecourse Park Run, who was losing weight, actually asked me, Michelle, can you give me running lessons, because one day I'd like to run round the racecourse, not walk it at Park Run. And that made me set up really the Step Forward Lewis as a voluntary running group. For 2 years I was 3 nights a week leading 3 running groups of speed play, which I call the fartlek, which is a Swedish word, by the way, for speed play, and hill sessions. So I just focus on those 2 areas, because I found that you can keep the group in a small area and no one feels too slow, no one's self-conscious. You just focus on yourself and you go at your pace, and it just works. Even to this day, it just works. And in July this year, I was made redundant, and the runners that I have, and even the wheelchair user, I have a wheelchair user from Corby that comes to some of my sessions, said, Michelle, you've got to be a personal trainer, you're such a motivator. And that's how it came about, that now Step Forward Lewis, I'm hoping to make bigger, not just a running group, but offer other various exercises and other ways of motivating people to, well, give them that helping hand to say, yes, you can do it. You know, you don't believe in yourself, you know, and you need that hand. I'll be that person, and we'll get you there, and we'll get your confidence up. And so far my technique has been working.
Brilliant. And you've had 3 years or so of doing the voluntary thing, so that you know how to organise things. Have you monetized the groups that you've had, or given the people the option if they want to join you? How have you made the transition? Because that could be quite an interesting journey.
It was yeah, it is really, because obviously, like I said, I've done it for quite a few years voluntarily, because, you know, I had a really good job anyway, and it just didn't feel right. And I love running. It felt like, you know, it is a hobby. I'm very passionate about it, and I love working with people to improve themselves. And so for, like I say, for a couple of years, it was totally free. And I kept having the runners say, Michelle, you give up so much of your time, I feel guilty. And I'd be like, no, you know, I have as much fun as you, because I do stand there and with my whistle, and I'm, you know, little Hitler with them, you know. And I come up with all these ways of, like, whether they'll have a parachute on their back, or they'll do high knees on ladders or hurdles. It's not just a case of going out and running to a lamppost and back, or up a hill. I do, you know, a bit more work goes into it, and planning. And from that, I did get shortlisted for Volunteer of the Year awards of 2018, 2019 at Northamptonshire Sports. So that was quite nice to be recognised that way. But then at the beginning of the year, some of the runners actually was getting quite tense, saying, Michelle, you know, we feel guilty, you should charge. And again, nope, there's no, you know, it was fun, it was my hobby. And then, of course, like I said, July, I was made redundant. And everyone just said, Michelle, you've got to make a step forward, Lewis, bigger, become personal trainer. You know, we all support you. And seriously, a time that could have been so low, there was just no opportunity, because all the support I've given these people in the last few years or months or weeks, you know, the newbies that have joined, I got it back at a time when I needed it, you know, in the support. And then at that point I said, okay, and I threw it out to them, what do you think is fair? If I charge you as a running group, what do you, and they came up with a price. And I said, okay, then if you're happy with that, that's the way we're going forward, but it won't be more than that in regards to running. And then it made me realise, okay, let's look into what other groups, you know, what can I do, what is needed to become a personal trainer, and realise, you know, I've got the opportunities. I could teach boot camps, I could choose HIITs, which I can do in groups, which I got that qualification quite quickly. Obviously, being redundant, I could study full time, and being passionate and having a goal made me achieve that qualification quite quickly. And it was lovely that when I had the practical exam in Birmingham, the instructor or the assessor in that was, you know, marking me said, you know, I cannot fault you. You know, you really are good at what you do at motivating people. And it was just so lovely, you know, to have an assessor say that on an exam, and thought, yes, I am doing the right thing going forward. And so now I'm, you know, studying, and I will pass. I'm determined, because I'm so close. I've got my exam in December. This might go out after December, so by then, new year, and 21 onwards, I'll be offering one-to-ones as well as group work. So Step Forward Lewis is growing from not just Step Forward in running, but there's going to be other opportunities, you know, for people to experience in other exercises. And the reason why as well is I'm always going to boot camps, HIITs, and find out what else is out there, is because, like I said, I have Carol from Corby, who comes in a wheelchair, and other wheelchair users, and other people that are not enabled or face challenges. I want to be able to offer them something so they don't feel left out in Step Forward Lewis.
Brilliant. Well, what amazing a way to start a business, and I hope you thanked your employer for making you redundant.
It's interesting that a month after leaving, they look at my LinkedIn, you know, because you can see who's been viewing, and I think they might be surprised to see, wow, she's full blown gone into her own business, into exercising. But at the same time, I don't think they'll be surprised, because even though I worked in IT, you know, sitting down and a lot, it wasn't an active job. I was very active in trying to promote fitness within the department, within the company, and trying to encourage, you know, fitness and well-being through social media internally in a company as large as it was. And, you know, it was starting to kick off, so that was good.
For many years, I've been a business consultant and mentor, and or was, shall I say? I don't do that now. And every single time the redundancy thing came up, I had to make people redundant in many projects that I did, and some of the people still keep in contact with me, and they say it was the best day's work ever, without the push, you know, redundancy gave me, because you're in a consistent payroll, you know, every month money appears, and it's only when you're forced to do something, when the pain is bad enough, then you step forward, don't you? And so it's all about, for me and for you, it's about prevention. So don't get ill, take preventative action in whatever way you can. So I take my hat off to you. You've done a splendid job in such a short time.
I know, it's been hectic. I tell you, I don't know how I had time to work before.
Well, that's what, yeah, people say. I've never done a day's work in my life. I don't think. I've always enjoyed what I do, and that's the trick, isn't it? That's the key. So
and touching on what you just said there, enjoying what you do, it is interesting how doing what I'm doing now. Okay, I'm building up my skills, getting my qualification, and I'm fortunate that I have got my foundation in the fact that, you know, I've been doing it for years, and I know a lot of people that I can help initially, and you know, I've got my target audience already, but it doesn't feel like work. You know, like I said, I'm qualified already to do boot camps and HIT sessions and other group work. And I have, you know, when the lockdown wasn't happening and when I was allowed to do it, it just feels like, wow, this is my day now, and I'm having too much fun. You know, I feel like I need to go out and get a job, you know, because I'm like, really, and my husband keeps reminding me, Michelle, you are actually working. You just forget, you know.
Yeah. You've mentioned a couple of times HITs. What's HITs?
HITs is a high intensity training, you know, so high intensity interval training. So it's very fast. It's a very short period, say 20 minutes to half an hour. And it's like, you know, we'll do like 20 minutes squats, 20 second squats, and then have a little rest, 10-second rest, and then like 10 minutes 20 seconds press ups. It's very short and quick with very short rests in between. So yeah, it's for those that really want to build up their stamina very quickly, and yeah, it's very hard exercise, but it's fun.
So presumably with the running, that all happens in the street. When you're doing the one-to-one stuff, can you see yourself having to do stuff in the gym? Do you use gym equipment on any of the things, or is it just purely your legs?
No, with the way I want to do it and the people that I want to help, you know, because my target audience are those that what I found so far that I attract to me and to step forward with Lewis is those that haven't done exercise for 20, 30, 40 years since they left school. They've just, you know, left school, gone into work, that's it. And now, like,
that's me.
At a point in life thinking, oh, you know, obviously, you know, before all the lockdown and everything, park run was such a massive thing. The London Marathon is getting bigger and bigger. People were seeing it on telly and the charity work, and, you know, through unfortunately illnesses and diseases that are around, if a family member, friend or colleague gets it, people want to help, and I'm finding that people are turning to charities as their way of supporting that person or family or whoever's affected. And so exercise has just grown so much that yeah, I just find being a motivator just naturally myself, that's my target audience, and they're the people that I, you know, attract.
So why should people do exercise? What's the message? Why should they run, walk? Why bother?
Run, walk, wheel, shuffle. Why? Because not only physically, but also mentally. Myself, why did I start running when I did? I was going through a dark period, you know, when I found out, you know, I couldn't have children, I had IVF, and then that made me ill, and then I had to have my womb removed, and, you know, that made me feel like, oh my God, what do I do? You know, I was lost, you know, for very short periods. And a friend recommended running to me, and it helped me so much. And if I didn't have that conversation with my friend, who actually is the international race walker in Seville and is aiming for Tokyo Olympics, if I hadn't had that conversation with him, I wouldn't be where I am today. You know, the fact that not only do I just run, and I've done 15 marathons in a short space of time, and be a run director at Northampton Park Run. I now, you know, have got a business where I'm actually, that involves running and other exercises. It's, you just don't know where it can lead. And I just feel everyone that I've spoken to, and I have a podcast called Running Tales, and that's all about inspirational people. And I've got 40 episodes that I've done in 2020, which is the year that I launched Running Tales. When you listen to those people that I have, every single one, mental health tends to come into it. And it's, you can't just physically rely on your body to, you know, to do these activities. It is a mental thing, and it's like well, I say it's a joke, but it's very serious. When you run a marathon, the first 20 miles, yes, your legs will get you there, but it's the last 6.2 miles where it's mentally to get you across that line, and it's very true. And so, yeah, exercise, it's, you know, it's not as well as keeping your body, you know, your body is a temple. You have to look after it. If you don't, then obviously, you know, illnesses, you know, happen, and, you know, you decline. You know, you've got to look after yourself, and naturally getting active is part of what keeps us going as best it can. So you mentioned earlier as well, I'm sorry, I did go off a touch, you said about gyms and places like that. I've actually done up my garage. I've got a big double garage, so I've done it up, and I've had a local graffiti artist called Binti come in and do some one of her running chickens for me and some bees to brighten it up. So it's a fun place when you walk into my garage. It's, you know, it makes you smile straight away. It's full of colour, it's full of light. And the reason why I want to work from there, as well as outside in the nicer weather, sorry. Sorry, Elaine. Is because I want people to feel comfortable. Many people I'm speaking to, sorry, I got to, hang on a minute. Sorry.
Have some water. Have some water. So while Michelle is sorting herself out there, I've actually done a marathon. I can't believe it. I've walked a marathon. I say I couldn't believe it. I was asked the other day about running. I can't run because I've got problems with my spine, and it's the last thing that I should be doing. I have done over the years. I used to run with Essex Ladies, which is a very famous running club in Essex. And I remember I was the junior in the cross country when the senior was Rita Ridley, who was a very famous runner. I was just talking, Michelle, while you were sorting yourself out, about the fact that I have actually done a marathon, but it was walking. I walked a marathon, and then I used to do running a long time ago when I was, you know, in my teens. But as I've realised, I've got spine problems. The last thing I should be doing is running. But I have done several walking, you know, type things. But it's the mobility side of things that's important, isn't it? It's just, you know, you were saying about keeping your limbs moving, and your general well-being is really important.
It is, and just to give you the example of Carol, who I was saying to you in the wheelchair, in December I've been setting up these virtual challenges where you can get, you know, contribute towards a medal, and part of that money goes towards a local charity, which has either been, depending on the medal, I've done two. One's a Project 1615, which is the homelessness charity in Northampton, and the other is the Lewis Foundation, which is where Lorraine and Lee make up hampers with the donations and give them to cancer patients. And with these challenges, one of them has been 10k and the other has been 26.2 miles a marathon. And you can either do it in one go, or you can do it in stages and build it up, you know, to get your, in a your medal in a time frame. And one of them, like I said, Carol in the wheelchair, what she's done is she's doing the Rudolph one, which is the 26.2 miles, and she's actually walking it on her crutches. So she's getting out of her wheelchair and trying to do 2 miles when she can, you know, as part of her challenge. So mentally, it's given her to say, yes, you know, I'm determined, I'm going to get my legs stronger, I'm going to, you know, force myself to be able to walk. So, you know, going back to the mind, it is, you know, very powerful.
Absolutely. I remember when I did that walking marathon, it was the last bit that was most important, which, as you say, you need to give yourself a good talking to, don't you, to get yourself over the line.
Yeah, and it's very common as well, like you said, and even you can tell in the tone when you're mentioning it to us and the listeners. You're saying, "Oh, I only walked a marathon." Mm-hmm. Now, unless someone has either walked it, run it, wheelchaired it, 26.2 miles in one go is challenging. You know, it's not easy. It's not something you can do in an hour. You know, 2 hours. Yes, that was broken this year by a Kenyan, but it's for the everyday runner, which I like to call the fun runners, or, you know, fun wheelchair users. That it's hard work because we're not trained from, you know, it's not something we go to training every week to focus on. You know, we have lives, we have jobs, families, whatever in between that takes away, you know, a lot of our time. So when I hear people, and even my own runners, say when they come to Step Forward Lewis, you know, I can't even run 5k, or I do 5k in 50 minutes, and I only walk it, or I run it, I can't run the whole way. It's like, that's your problem. Straight away mentally, you're talking yourself out of it. I cannot do it. You know, you did 5k, you did 26.2 miles. How you did it doesn't matter. You did it. You know, you crossed that line, you reached that target, whatever. So yeah, a lot of people just need that voice, where, you know, whether it's physically like myself that's there, to say, you know, you can do it. Now, if you do want to run the whole of it, then of course, or, you know, wheelchair fast the whole of it, then yeah, you know, then let's work towards that. But take baby steps. A lot of people, when they think about exercise, straight away they set a goal, and then they think they've got to reach that goal in a short period of time. No, your body needs time. You know, your muscles need time to build up, to be able to get you to that distance. You know, however way you do it, you just, especially if you want to be injury free, because a lot of injuries with sports people, or, you know, with the fun runners and wheelchair users, is they rush. They don't give the muscles time to build up and get strong to be able to achieve, you know,
yeah,
the result.
Absolutely. Then when you get an injury, you get put off, and then you know, self-sabotage yourself, because, oh no, if I do that again, I'm going to pull something or twist something, and so on. We're our own worst enemies, aren't we, at times?
We are, and the most common excuse you hear is when you say to someone, "Oh, you know, why don't you exercise?" It's, "Oh, I'm too old," or, "Oh, it's my knees." Well, you know, my mum is 63 this year. She started for the first time last year, you know, running. She was seeing the work, you know, obviously my Facebook page, my media, you know, the things that I've been doing, and seeing the different ages as well. You know, I have teenage boys that attend my sessions, and girls. I have people in their 60s that attend my sessions. So, you know, I have a wide range of ages, and like I said, with Carol in a wheelchair that comes along. And it's motivated even my own mum and and dad to take up, you know, running again. My dad, how can I put it? He was my biggest inspiration, because when I was a child, he was the one that I would go and watch doing marathons as a kid, you know, and then he had 30 years gap, obviously, you know, life got in the way, you know, family and all that sort of stuff and jobs. And then he was saying, oh, I can't run anymore, my knees. But he's now in his 60s and he's started running again. So it's great. Small steps, but, you know, they're able to do 4 or 5 miles at the moment. My mum is, and my dad did New York Marathon. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
very good, very inspirational. I'll take my hat off to you, Michelle. So how can people find you? Where are you located these days?
I'm on Facebook as Step Forward with Lewis, and on Instagram. On Twitter, it's the number 4 and then Wood, W-A-R-D, with Lewis. That's any name I could get for myself. And my email address is stepforwardwithlewis@gmail.com, and my website is stepforwardwithlewis.com.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Michelle, for your time today.
No, thank you for having me.